You are Locked On Eagles Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
7 straight wins for the Philadelphia Eagles out of the bye week. It is the Locked On Eagles Postcast. Jason Martinez and Harry Mays. There's a lot to discuss, including a lot of yards from Saquon Barkley. Almost ridiculous numbers. They look like high school Friday Night Light football numbers, Harry.
Yeah, really. I mean, he busted out, 270 yards, 70-plus yard touchdowns. It did look like a high school game. Like, where you've got that dominant player who's the best player on the field, and the other team, all 11 guys, they can do nothing about it. It's
nothing.
That's really what you got here, man. I mean, he's incredible. What do you have, 255 yards, I believe, rushing? And then he even had, 47, I think, receiving too, right?
He ended up with 305, I think, of total offense.
Total offense. Yeah, and then if he's not ripping off, big runs or catching the ball out of the backfield, the quarterback finds A.J. Brown down the middle of the field, wide open, and then takes two players to get him down. It's just like a two-man offense, and the quarterback is just he's like the point guard out there. He's not turning the ball over. He had another clean game, and that's been really the recipe for these wins. They got 7 wins in a row, and they're now 9-2. I thought they were going to lose tonight.
Did you?
Yeah. People were asking me about this game. I said, I think they lose to the Rams. They're like, why? I just said, the ebb and flow of the NFL season. They got 2 straight road games coming up here against L.A. and Baltimore, and I think they'll lose the game that we don't think they're going to lose, and that'll be to the Rams.
Well, plus, you come off the Cowboy and then Commander game, too. So maybe it's an emotional letdown, and we know that plays a part in it also. But no, I mean, this team's the fact of the matter, Harry, is this team's a machine.
They are.
They are immune
to
emotion. They're like the Terminator. They're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're robotic.
Well, it's like the personality of the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like nothing phases that guy. Nothing phases. And how about the Eagles fans, from California and from Philadelphia going out there and taking that place over? I know that is a good spot for road teams with good fan bases to take over. And the Eagles took that over. The Rams were in silent count, and they knew going into the game that they were going to need to be in silent count.
On the first drive of the game, they had to go silent. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think like all the West Coast Eagle chapters, the Oregon chapter made that.
Oh, they're all in there.
Trip. Yeah, all the Oregon chapter, the Seattle chapter came down, and you had the Arizona Eagle fan chapter. They just converged on it.
Yep.
And it's just insane. I always wonder for those people, like that's a 6.5 hour flight from here, 6 hour flight, 3,000 miles. You go out there, if you go out there and your team gets their teeth kicked in, you got to just feel like,
that's got to stink.
Waste of dough that was.
That's got to stink because it ain't cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have some serious faith that I don't know that I have, Harry.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather just go to Baltimore. I don't need to go to California. I'll drive down to Baltimore if I want to see a road game. Then I could be home in 2 hours.
He's probably too far too, right, Harry?
Yeah, it's 2.5. Yeah. It's 2.5.
That beltway, it could be a real problem.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, what a dominant performance. After the first quarter, because in that first quarter, the Rams were getting anything and everything they wanted offensively, and they had the bad turnover, or they would have scored on that possession too. But they were moving the ball at will on the ground and through the air with this Nakua and the running back Williams, who ended up being the guy who fumbled it. He actually fumbled it again later in the game, but they got it back. And he's got the most fumbles by a running back, like 8 fumbles or something over. I forget what the period of time was. They put it up on the screen. But he's really loose with the football. But, man, the Rams were running the ball. They were throwing it. I'm thinking, oh, boy, here we go.
Me too.
And after that, it was 7-3. Like the Rams only scored the 1 touchdown. And after that, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out for the rest of the first half. And the Eagles just took control of the football game.
I was stunned when they went into the halftime with the way the Rams moved the ball in those opening 2 drives, that there was only 7 points on there's only 7 points on the board midway through the third quarter.
Right.
I mean, I was like, because you're right, they were just cutting like a hot knife through butter on the Eagles. I'm going, man, the Eagles look really off defensively. And then when Slay went out, I mean, they picked on Rodgers.
Oh yeah, Isaiah Rodgers. Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
that guy. First of
He
all,
had a couple penalties. So
Yeah.
one of those penalties was crap. Though. I thought the officials were bad. I don't usually complain about the officials, but they were bad all around tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to take advantage of that, but then Vic Fangio made some adjustments in the way they get pressure.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really take advantage of of Slay being out.
No, and they're double teaming Jalen Carter, obviously, and then Milton Williams got loose. I mean, we've been talking about this. Like at some point, teams are just going to have to put 2 and 3 guys on Jalen Carter. He's that active and that disruptive and that good, and they did that tonight. And one of the other guys got to step up. Brandon Graham was outstanding tonight.
He really was. Yeah,
he
made big plays.
He was like shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, I watched the one play he made. I guess it was in the third quarter.
Yeah.
He didn't get credit for the tackle as he hit the running back in the backfield, but he just blew through. He blew right off a block and just drilled the dude. And I'm going, man, this guy's been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's still as explosive as ever.
Yeah, he had back-to-back plays in the backfield. He had a tackle for loss on a first down, and then on second down, he got the QB hurry. He actually hit Stafford.
Yeah.
And, caused an incomplete pass. That put the Rams in a 3rd and 16. Then they got Isaiah Rodgers got the pass interference, which I thought was total crap. That was a bad call.
Yeah.
And then Stafford to Robinson got one of their touchdowns on Isaiah Rodgers. But Brandon Graham had a great series, even though the Rams scored.
Let's talk about Saquon real quick, Harry, because we can't just gloss over it. I mean, this is frankly bordering on kind of ridiculous now with that the Giants let him walk out and he comes into Philadelphia and is doing what he's doing because it is. I mean, these are absurd numbers. 26 carry. First of all, did you hear the numbers Collinsworth broke out about first half average yards per carry, 4.5 to like 7.5?
It's almost double in the second half.
You know what it's going to be now? It's going to probably be like a 10 in the second half because he had 2 70-yard runs. But 255 on the ground, an average of 9.8, 2 touchdowns, a long of 72.
Yeah,
I guess
that was
that
the
last
second one. That was the second one, yep.
And then in the air also, he ends up with 4 catches for 47 and a long of 31. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's just instant offense, man. And like he's the MVP right now. I mean, he's the MVP of the league.
Yeah. There's no.
You can really make a case for it.
I mean, look at the difference he's made with this team.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's got a great offensive line and he's got great holes, but some players go, yeah, they can hit the hole and they can read a block and they can give you 6 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy can hit you the home run when you give him that hole. That's the difference.
I wrote it down in the second quarter. This is before the Eagles scored. There was the one where A.J. Brown looked like he dropped. It was a drop in the end zone. They reviewed it and you saw he got 2 feet down. It was obviously a touchdown. They reversed it. Before that score, I wrote Saquon looks like he could break one on every play. I wrote that down.
Yeah, and it does. You just feel that.
Yeah.
Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, you get the $150. So check it out. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where the Saquon thing. I just keep the guy healthy, and it's stunning how much they can control a game. I remember earlier in the broadcast, maybe second quarter, when Chris Collinsworth said the Eagles are baiting the hook by the running game, and then
for
they
a
can
big
just
play down the field with the pass. But they really didn't even need to do that.
No, But A.J. Brown again too, Harry, was just he's so reliable in the way he catches the ball, and he's so strong. He's so
physical. He's so physical, and with no Devontae Smith tonight too.
Yeah, to stretch.
So everybody had to key on him.
Yeah.
And Goddard really didn't do much. I mean, let's look at some of these numbers. Yeah, Goddard had 4 catches for 19 yards, which is really
the first catch of the game too.
Correct.
They went to him, I think, for 9 yards. I think on the opening drive.
Dotson had 1 catch. I mean, he's really done nothing since they got him. He's really hasn't impressed. To think that the Commanders blew a first-round pick on that kid.
Yeah.
From Penn State.
But they didn't have to use the pass.
No, they really didn't. They really didn't. I mean, Hurts was effective. He was efficient. He didn't turn the ball over. Not spectacular, but he didn't need to be.
He made some good runs though too.
Yeah,
good decisions and following Saquon over the left side with Mailata on that side. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And the holes that these guys get, and, to be able to just get into the second layer. I think they said, too, that Saquon leads the NFL in yardage before he's touched.
Oh, yeah. Before first contact.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, that speaks to that O-line. I mean, think of all those years that he was up there with New York with those bad offensive lines.
Yeah. Hideous.
Yeah, terrible.
All right, let's take our first time out. We'll come back. When we come back, we're going to talk about the lines a little bit. And 5 key. Harry, I'm going to make the case for you. I'm going to give you the 5 key ingredients to the Super Bowl for the Eagles. I'm going to see if you buy into what I'm
There's
selling.
5.
There's 5 key ingredients. It's obviously a team thing. It's a whole team, but I have 5 in particular that I'm going to present to you. So we'll be back right after this. All right, let me tell you about FanDuel, because FanDuel's got it going on. Great thing about FanDuel is you can watch the game and bet on the game you're watching. NFL fans, keep it going with the big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, like you go, oh, man, Saquon's going off here, I think you can get another 70-yarder. Well, you would have been right. Right in the middle of the game. Check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. If you think your team's got momentum, you can feel it. Well, they're going to score. You can live bet it as you watch it. FanDuel has made it super easy so you don't miss any of the action. And with FanDuel, it's not just straight bets and parlays. No, FanDuel.com has all the different ways you can bet: in-game, live in-game betting, props, teaser, you name it. It's all there for you. You can bet 1,000 things if you'd like. And get in on the action while you watch the action. What could be better? It's FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, Harry, you ready for the 5 keys to the Super Bowl?
Okay.
Number 1, offensive line and defensive line. The Eagles are dominant, not good, dominant on both. And that is a key component.
Arguably the best offensive line in the game.
Yep.
And the defensive front, when we've been talking, week after week about Jalen Carter. Tonight you had some of the Milton Williams, Brandon Graham, all making plays behind the line of scrimmage. Sweat had a big play too. I mean, they just get it from guys. And I thought the coordinator has done a great job over these last 6 or 7 weeks. Fangio.
Yeah,
we were a little suspect about him. He was getting a little flack in the first couple of weeks of the season, but man, they've really settled in.
Yeah, he's really kind of gotten to know his personnel and how to deploy them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've just been so dominant up front, and as we know, as Baldy always said, it all starts up there, Harry.
Yeah, and that makes it easier to be dominant in the back end.
Yeah,
exactly. And they're dominant back there too. I mean, I know they lost Slade tonight. With the concussion, you kind of knew that was a concussion right out of the chute. He got popped right in the helmet. But Isaiah Rodgers comes in. They're going to pick on him, and he made a couple of mistakes, and I thought he got screwed on one of the penalties. But still, I mean, these other kids, these rookies, are just making plays, and then they're not making plays because their coverage is so good that their players don't get thrown to.
Yeah. I thought Zach Bond had a really good night in coverage, too. He made that one play where he drops back, and he just breaking up the pass play, just reading it beautifully.
Yeah, he didn't make a lot of tackles tonight like he typically does, but he did make that play.
Yeah, I think he makes a lot of tackles when the other team runs the ball a lot.
Yeah,
and they just didn't end up doing
Not
it.
after the first quarter.
No, couldn't. And then the next one, Harry, is Saquon.
Yeah.
That's a key component. You have the home run hitter who's is not just going to provide you a running game, but he's going to provide you that can take over the game at any given moment.
Well, and it's also the element, and we haven't seen this all that much yet, but in the playoffs, you get a lead, and in the fourth quarter, you don't give the ball back because he just churns first downs, and you can just run the clock.
Yeah,
that's key, especially at home in the cold. It's it's always cold, wet, and windy in January on those late afternoon, evening playoff games, and a running back that you can just give the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't fumble it. Can just salt the clock away.
Yeah, and it keeps his defense off the field and fresh
right.
too.
Right.
I mean, it's tremendous. Next one is when they get Devontae back, he'll be part of this, but it's A.J. Brown. I think he's not getting the props maybe he deserves this year. We're giving them to him, but probably just because he's, there's so much hype around Saquon, rightfully so. But A.J. Brown's having a fantastic season.
Oh, terrific. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's been healthy, he's been an animal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, he's so hard to cover. And once he gets the ball, he's hard to bring down. I mean, he's one of those, there's a couple of them in the league, these big physical wide receivers, and they're, you're lucky to have one.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his
possession
numbers?
guy?
He's got 33. I'm looking at his
Season
year.
numbers.
Yeah, 33 catches, which doesn't seem like a tremendous amount, but he missed a couple of games. 618 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is not updated. He has 4 touchdowns now.
Yeah, fourth tonight.
Yeah, so he's probably got over 700 yards. And
it's not bad.
How many catches
team
did
that
he
hasn't
have
had to
tonight?
throw it. 6 on 7 targets, by the way,
Okay, yes, right. So
for 109.
So close to 40 receptions, over 700 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But the average, and this is before tonight, 18.7 per play.
Well, it's
per
going to go down a
reception.
tick. It'll go down a tick because he averaged 18.2 tonight.
Okay. All right.
So,
but still, think
I
about
mean,
that. That's big plays.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think of him as that kind of guy.
Right.
Like, he's not a home run hitter wide receiver that's going to give you 20-yard chunk plays. He's more of a possession guy, going to give you 7 to 12 yards.
Yeah, but
he's averaging over 18 because he's so
thing
powerful.
The thing is he's so hard to bring down that those 12-yard, 14-yard catches turn into 20, 25-yard gains.
Yeah, they tried to cover him with a linebacker tonight on the one play.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Forget it.
Good luck
he
with
made him
that.
look like a fool. Yeah, I mean, 6 for 109 tonight, 18.2. Totally overshadowed by Saquon. It's just tremendous. All right, so that's number 3, Harry. Obviously, the quarterback is number 4.
A quarterback that's effective and doesn't turn it over.
And doesn't need to be the star.
Right.
A lot of quarterback, like McNabb needed to be the star, right? I think Jalen Hurts, I think you nailed it. You said he's like a point guard.
Yeah.
He sets up everybody else to be the star.
Right.
I think that's big.
And then, of course, they have that, in the red zone, he's so good with his legs, the tush push, the whole thing. Like that's enormous in the playoffs.
Yeah. The last thing is this, and it's really a credit to the coordinators, to the coach, to everything in total. The leadership down there, guys like Lane Johnson, guys like Brandon
Graham.
Yeah. And Jalen Hurts. But the culture they have.
Yeah.
When Kenneth Gainwell scored his touchdown, did you see the first guy was to congratulate him?
No, I missed it.
Saquon Barkley.
Oh, okay.
Came buzzing off the bench like he was on like he was blocking for him.
Yeah.
But he was on the sideline and he was so pumped up. And we remember earlier in the year when they played the Giants, they went to Saquon on the sideline and they said, "You can get a career high." He said, "No, give it to the other guys." Against his former team.
Right.
There's a culture down there.
Yeah.
And that means something.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I mean, and that culture is easier to maintain when you're winning games.
Oh, yeah. Winning fixes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. You're winning 7 in a row. Oh, yeah, what's the coach want us to do? Let's do it.
Yeah. Nobody's got bad breath when you're winning 7 straight. Everything is all hunky-dory down there.
Yep.
At the NovaCare. And they're going to fly back tonight. They're going to get home, like 6 in the morning. Day off tomorrow for the boys. But look, in this last segment, we're going to have to do something that I don't feel physically comfortable with, but I have to do it because we got to call it like we see it. I don't know how you feel about it, but we got to give Nick Sirianni some props because I think he's earned it, Harry. So we'll do that when we come back. We'll see how uncomfortable that makes Harry right after he tells you about Prize Picks after this.
All right, Jason, Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going to go off, like Saquon Barkley did today? Seems to go off every week. Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long right on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You can now win up to 100 times your money. Yeah, that's right, 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks puts their members first, so withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money, too, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Just download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's the code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play just $5. And you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
All right, Harry. Nick Sirianni time. There was mentioned on the broadcast that a bunch of the linemen went to Nick Sirianni at the bye week and said, "We've kind of lost our identity.
Got to get back to
as
running
what we
the
are
football."
As a football team." Yeah, and controlling the game.
Yeah.
I think like running. It's more about asserting your will on your opponent, which is really kind of the essence of the tush push. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. You can't stop it. And I think one of the most difficult things for a lot of head coaches is hubris, and it gets in the way. And sometimes a coach has to go, you know what? You're right. I got to change some things. And the job that maybe it's just as simple as him admitting he had to change some things and handle some things differently after the thing with the fan and the way he reacted, had his kids up there, all of that stuff. That was kind of the low point of this season. Since then, he still annoys the hell out of me with the faces and everything else. But you got to give the guy credit because his team is playing their rear ends off for him, having a good time. And I think he's made some adjustments.
Well, he's got the best offensive line in the league. He's got the best running back in the league. He's got a quarterback that's not turning the ball over
He had most of that
anymore.
last year, Harry. In that second half when they stunk out
loud.
loud.
He didn't have Saquon Barkley last year. He's right now the MVP of the NFL.
Good point,
but okay, you want to give him credit because he kind of, maybe changed some of his ways. He's not chasing points either the last 2 weeks. He didn't go for 2. I thought when they had it at 12-7, he was definitely going to go for 2 there, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody had to talking to him about that. I don't know. But okay, I got to give him some credit. They're 9-2. You know what I mean? Like
and they've looked good doing it, Harry.
Outside of Minnesota, who I think also only has 2 losses, and Detroit. I mean, they're right up there at the top in the NFC right now.
And frankly, if it's not for a Saquon Barkley drop, they're 10-1.
Yeah, they beat the same record as Detroit then.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly where they'd be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just that game's kind of a self-inflicted wound loss against Kirk Cousins. As he goes up, he doesn't go do anything the entire game. Then he goes up and down the field. So, I mean, you got to look at it. You got to go, man, this team, they have all the ingredients to be a Super Bowl team. I don't think there's any question about it because with the line play, they can control games in the playoffs in bad weather.
No, well, that's the key. See, that's the key with Detroit. You got to get home field advantage to get Goff to come to you in late January on a crappy night at the Link because he doesn't have the arm to cut through the wind.
He's
not an outdoor cold quarterback. He's not.
Yeah.
So that would be super key to get that home field.
You know who wasn't a cold weather cut through the wind quarter? It was actually Michael Vick. Remember how much he struggled when the temperature was below 32 degrees?
Yeah, although didn't he beat the Eagles at the Vet one night?
Eventually. He did to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Did he get to the Super Bowl or was it just a playoff game?
No, it was a playoff game. Yeah, I think it was a playoff game.
But he was one of those guys that, if it was below 32 degrees, it's you can't win. That was
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were that way too with Dungy. They couldn't win a game unless the temperature was above 42 degrees, I think it was.
Until Rondé Barber came up here
and
ran it into the end zone and broke all of our hearts that year. That's the year the Eagles should have won it with Andy Reid.
Yep.
But like I watched. I mean, did you watch the Washington Chicago or Dallas game?
I saw bits and pieces of it. It was a train wreck. Yeah, just a special teams train wreck.
Yeah, my God. How does the Cowboys allow that touchdown?
To McLaurin at the end. Yeah.
And then they missed the extra point.
And then, the kicker, that was the second missed extra point he had. He missed a field goal, too. It's just terrible. Then they had a couple of returns, kick returns for touchdowns. It's just a wild, crazy, stupid game.
It really was, but it was kind of entertaining from the outside looking in. But the Eagles now have total control of the division. They're in the catbird seat.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this now. I mean, Washington's 7-5, so you got 3 games ahead in the loss column. I know they got to play Washington once towards the end of the year in Washington. But right now, if you look at this schedule, I know the Eagles have Baltimore coming up next week at Baltimore. Should be a real good one.
Yeah,
at
Baltimore plays tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Baltimore plays tomorrow against the Chargers. I think.
Yeah, the Harbaugh Bowl.
And then they got the Panthers, which today the Panthers almost beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they gave him a good run today.
It was like 30-27 or something. The Chiefs had to kick a field goal at the end to win it. So it just goes to show you the league is wacky. Then they have the Steelers, then at Washington.
Steelers good?
And the Steelers are really good. Yeah, they lost the other night to Cleveland in the snow, but that's a division game
Snow globe
on
game.
The road. Then at Washington, Dallas, and then the Giants. So, I mean, what bumps? There might be two and a half bumps left in this regular season.
Yeah.
Between the Ravens,
Carolina
Steelers, and Commanders.
Do you like the Carolina uniforms? I like the matte black.
The black helmet. Was it black helmet? Yeah, I did see that.
Cool.
That looked pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Eagles will be back at it next week. What, 4:30 next week, Harry?
4:25 start.
4:25 start.
4:25 start. Yeah.
And that'll be against the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh. So looking forward to that. We'll be with you after that one as well. And thanks for everybody for making the Locked On Eagles postcast your first listen today. And for your second listen, make sure you check out the new Locked On NFL now with 2 shows every day. First, the Madman Tyler Rowland kicks off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso. And stop by the barbershop with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. It's Locked On NFL. You can find it on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Eagles win, Eagles win, Eagles win. They are rolling 7 straight. We'll talk to you next week on the Locked On Eagles postcast.